All right, it's 5:39. I'll call the meeting to order tonight for the Public Works Committee. Everyone is here and accounted for, I believe, tonight. No absences. Everyone should have had a chance to look at the minutes of the previous meeting. Do we have any comments or revisions to the minutes? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman Tierney, second by Alderman Sigwart. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who takes our minutes, Roger?
All right.
Well, then with the consultation,
Public comments and appearances. Looks like we're flying solo here tonight, so we don't have any public comments or appearances. Any old business, Rob? What are we supposed to talk about there, Rob? Old business.
If we had something from an old agenda item, we
Okay.
put it in our old business, but
Oh, so it'd be something that hadn't been taken up before.
probably.
Okay. All right. Moving on to new business. Election of chairman and vice chairman. Do we have any motion?
I'd move that Jason Whittick be our chair.
All right. We have one motion on the floor to elect myself. I have a second by Alderman Tierney. Any other motions? All right. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then, do we have a motion to elect a vice chairman? Currently, Alderman Gasper is our vice chairman.
I would move to nominate Alderman Gasper.
I would second that.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor to nominate Alderman Gasper for vice chairman. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on then to item 2, consideration of possible action on an agreement with Gremmer and Associates to provide engineering and design services for the 2025 street improvement project. Turn it over to you, Rob or Roger.
All right, so you had before you a proposal from Gremmer to design our roads for 2025. The roads that we're doing are North Lakeview. Essentially, we're continuing south where we are this year. So North Lakeview from James to Douglas, Kaiser Drive, from Hales Trail to the interurban. I guess that's the full length. Douglas Street from North Wisconsin to its termination at the cul-de-sac. Whitefish Road from North Wisconsin to North Lakeview, and East Piron from North Wisconsin to Hales Trail. Project's a little bit different this year since we did much of our sanitary televising for those roads last year, and we are, as an effort to get in front of our I&I, we are lining those roads this year. So we will have a separate lining contract that will consist of other streets than this, so that won't be part of the contract. And also Monroe Street, well, I should say Monroe Street is also from Wisconsin. Kaiser is road reconstruction. There's no water main on Monroe Street. That was done previously several years ago. And then we have a water main line through the parking lot by the swimming pool that's broken several times, and the most recent main break flooded the basement of the rec building, so we want to get that water line fixed, so we're going to include that with this job. Essentially, Gremmer's done our road designs for how many years, Rob? Quite a few, it seems.
Almost all of them.
They do a great job. The only change orders we essentially see are quantities at the end of the year. Their estimate of construction is usually, within 5%, 10%. I mean, so they're timely with everything. So they do a great job for us.
All right. Thank you, Roger. Any questions for Roger regarding the design? Yeah. Alderman Gasper?
Sure. The water main down to the pool, is that going to be just a water main, or is that going to be reconstructing that roadway that goes down to the rec center building too?
I'm planning just a water main that's likely to be a directional drill job.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Thank you, Alderman Gasper. Any other questions for Roger or Rob? Yeah, Alderman Sigwart, you got something?
I just have a comment. Normally, when something seems to be too good to be true, it's not true. But what I've seen of the plans that Grimmer has done over, I gotta say, it's 15 years, Rob, right around there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we've been working with them since I started. We've only had, for various reasons, a couple of plants that
And having,
by Grammar.
having been in that position as a consultant to do local streets, okay, every community is a little bit different, but what I can say about their plans is that they've been really good. I mean, from a professional perspective, not just from a no complaints perspective, but they've been very good. And I think, other than the bump outs at Holden and James, we've really done a good job. I just had to say that.
Well, and like Roger has in his memo, yeah, their fees are about 4% of the estimated cost of construction. The last time we did a competitive proposal for streets, what we were finding is some of the consultants had nearly that same amount of money bid towards the job, but about half the hours assigned. So the level of effort with Gremmer is always, and that's why we have not had a significant change order on a Gremmer job since like 2016. So hope I didn't just jinx them, but it's done. Yeah, they've done really well, and they're so easy to work with.
Thank you, Alderman Sigwart. And it looks like we're just under budget too, so we're good on that regard.
Yep.
Okay.
And really excited to get these roads completed. They've been on our radar. We initially intended to reconstruct them, I think, back in either 2017 or 2019, but some other priorities took their place, and so we left the area for a little while, and now I'm glad that we're getting them. If you go down Douglas, you'll see one of our worst streets in the city, and in Lakeview's. Every other block is like amongst the worst blocks in the city as well. So if you haven't driven down those roads, if you do, you'll see why we're doing them.
Okay. I assume these are low on the Paisley rating then, right?
Extremely low. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions regarding the engineering and design proposal from Gremmer and Associates for the 2025 street plan?
Jace, just one more thing I'd like to point out. So the 140,000, so we'll be approving 140,000 design costs and then 30,000 for construction staking, which so the 140,000 is budgeted this year, the 30,000 construction staking will be budgeted with our construction dollars for next year.
So the motion is to approve both of those amounts?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the 139,406 for the estimated design cost and 30,000 for time and expense costs of construction staking in the construction cost?
Also move.
Motion by Alderman Sigwart. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on then to item number 3. Consideration and possible action on an SMA for the intersection of Webster Street and Grand Avenue.
Okay, so the area on Grand Avenue in front of the library has been a long discussed item for the Traffic Safety Committee and amongst us staff. I know Tom at the library has approached me on numerous occasions about the number of near misses he's seen there, and I know we had, and in fact, Roger and I were talking about, our list of where we've had pedestrian accidents, and I think we had one there a couple of years ago. But in any case, we added some slow flashing beacons there that have had some some success, but I don't know that everybody uses them. And we've always been missing what I feel missing a crosswalk directly from the corner that's adjacent to the library across the street to Grand, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense not to have one there. So in any case, the DOT, they are in the planning stages for a project in the city that will bring all curb ramps up into ADA compliance. So the ones even that they did 10 years ago are no longer in compliance with new ADA rules. So this is a DOT initiated project. So Roger and I have been working with them, and so we asked, what I did initially is, well, first of all, I'll say I'm not sure how they're going to get ADA compliance on some of these ramps because of the narrow parkways. And so I suggested they make their lives easier by bumping the curbs in on Grand Avenue from Webster all the way down to Franklin Street. They declined that offer. But they did agree that they would, and I did share with them the downtown plan. So the only thing I was able to get them to agree to, essentially out of all of that, was this one bumping in of the curb on the south side of Grand Avenue in front of the library. So, and that Alderman Gasper's suggestion, I am going to communicate with them, I guess question again, whether or not we can get some sort of bump out across the street on the north side. So if you're looking at that sketch that I've attached, and actually, can we bring this up? So I can pretty much just unplug this, right? That's okay. They all have it. Okay. All right.
I'm in page 33 on the packet. Is that what you're
Yep.
looking at, Rob?
Page 33. So on the north side, so you can see, and this is, Mike, I know you like to look closely at these plans and critique them. You would have a field day looking at what they've given us as 30% plans for the project. They have many.
I think I wrote up a full page worth of comments on this. To you,
Yeah,
too.
it did on just this one. And so, and as you noticed, it's a $3.1 million contract just to replace corners in the city of Port Washington, only on the highways. So we're talking Highway 32 and Highway 33, that's it. So it's, in any case, so Alderman Gasper has pointed out some of what might be the shortcomings of this plan, but we're working on the details. The good and the bad news is we've got some time to work on it because the project is not scheduled until 2029. So yeah, they're not rushing it. So as you can see with this, the northeast corner by the library, they have the ramp offset quite a bit from the corner, and I don't think that, and then they skew the sidewalk over going north. So they've got that at almost every corner in the city, and we've commented that we would prefer they not do it that way, but unfortunately they have the final say, and we'll see where this goes. But yeah, if we widen these terraces, we could flatten these ramps more easily. But this, I think, would be a big improvement. It would certainly slow down traffic. It would prevent cars from just whipping by a left-turning car at the intersection, and at least slow them down quite a bit if they were able to eke by a left-turning car. The downside is, if you're behind a left-turning car, you might have to wait, 30 seconds to continue your way eastbound. But I think the safety is greatly improved, and I'm happy that the DOT's at least able to take this on. I think it'll be just this will be a big improvement. Because the issue, again, is someone squeezing around a left-turning eastbound vehicle.
You know, and it's totally true, because I think when you come down that hill, you think you can see ahead of what's
Yeah.
up ahead, but what you don't is you're not looking left for that person coming across. And then, or if they're in front of the vehicle, you're looking ahead, way ahead.
Right.
They're right in front of the vehicle that stopped, and I've done it
Right.
myself, until you start to go, oh, that's a problem, you know?
And I think it'd be good to have that bumped in on the north side too, but I think on the south side, it's where it's most valuable, because you don't have that, with a right turning car, you don't have two cars at once trying to eke, because of the offset intersection, you don't have the same situation going the other way.
And that bike lane will be striped there, is that what that's showing?
That's what they're showing, yes, yeah.
Well, I just looked it up here to verify it. From working on another project that has DOT funding, where it's thou shall follow the pedestrian best practices guide and may not deviate from it whatsoever. The WISTA pedestrian best practices guide only allows a crosswalk to be moved over 10 feet from where the projected sidewalk going through would be. And they
Okay.
are clearly in violation of that here. But again,
That
they
is
are
more than
WISTA
10.
and they are free to ignore their own manuals.
Yeah, and this is Bloom Design, right? I think Bloom is the designer, Roger, if I remember correctly.
Bloom is the designer of the overlay. I think this might be, I saw Strand doing surveying. I don't know if they're doing the
Okay,
design.
but you're right. And remind me what the name of that guide is, Mike?
It is the, let's go back to, make sure I'm on the right page. It is the WISTOT, the Wisconsin Guide to Pedestrian Best Practices, Chapter 5, page 5-33, I believe it was.
I'm sorry, I was writing that down. Guide to Pedestrian Best Practices.
Yes.
Mike's an engineer, for those that don't know.
All right. Maybe we'll stick Tool on them. Yeah, too bad Tool's not doing it.
Yeah, and I did mention it to you on the south side of that east crosswalk. It's lined up with the home there with her front steps, and when they lower the sidewalk there and that front step becomes 3 inches higher than it currently is, she will complain to me.
Oh,
So, so that's, and also a concern there, the sidewalk that they're keeping, particularly on the north side, I believe it is significantly more than a 2% cross slope across the bridge. If you go look at it.
oh. I pointed that out repeatedly to the DOT. I'll put it nicely, that's not their concern with this project.
Well, something that I didn't comment on on the email to you, with the bump out on the south side, right now we have a lot of traffic, particularly in the morning or before a football game or something, that's making a left turn there, and we have a lot of bypassing cars to the right. Now, doing this definitely improves safety, because for someone crossing the street, someone's not going to go flying by. However, are we going to get major backups here at certain times of day by bumping out the south side? On the north side, I think you could safely bump it out without a problem, because there's never that many cars making a left turn. But the south side, that's going to always be a concern.
Yeah, I don't know how you work around that.
You could do a 6-foot wide refuge median that makes it a 2-stage crossing and effectively does the same thing, but leaves the room for 2 lanes.
Well, the concern, and this is what, we had Roger's presentation on Tuesday, like on Spring Street, the cars zipping around left-hand turn. So especially a child in front of the grill of a car isn't going to be seen until they walk out. So that I think that maybe in most situations, if the left-hand turning car is kind of hugging the center line, you can still get another car by creeping, but someone's not going to be able to fly through. And plus, it's dependent too on the amount of westbound traffic. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there that much westbound traffic to keep traffic backed up for significant periods? It could be annoying occasionally, but
When I was in high school, it would get backed up turning there. Now, granted, that was a lot of years ago already, but it at times it can be bad. So I'm not sure this is going to be a problem at much of a significant problem, but it's potential is there.
right.
Also point out one other spot that I think is unsafe here with the current design, and that's actually South Webster Street. If you're on South Webster and you're going to pull out, kids come riding their bikes right along the edge of the bridge on the along the railing where you can't see them because there's trees and what else not there blocking your view, and they don't stop at all at the crosswalk and go zipping out right in front of you. I know I almost hit some kids a couple years back there.
Okay.
So that, and I don't think anything you can do to fix that, but that I think is one of that's kind of one of the worst blind corners in the city, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. No, good point. And
Rob,
just
I have a
in,
question.
oh, yeah,
Is
go
there,
ahead.
is there data that supports, like, have there been a number of incidents here outside of just observations? And I understand it's a high traffic area, like having driven through. Is there data to support that there has been accidents here historically, or just verbal observations?
We had, I recall, I don't have the data in front of me, but I do recall someone being struck but not seriously injured on the, well, it was on the west side of Webster Street because there is no crosswalk on the east side. It is more anecdotal, but I think, I think
I'm just thinking, if this is a 29 project, obviously we're, 5 years out from that. Is there any like short-term solutions that could be addressed? Like, I don't know what's available as far as addressing the corner that Mike, discussed, or are there lighted crosswalks there now? I'm not sure. I know when I was at Carroll in Waukesha, we had very similar problem because it's a small campus that compromises 2 to 3 blocks. They put all lighted crosswalk signs in, and then also lighted like pathway. So the actual crosswalks themselves were lit, especially when pedestrians were crossing them. You can see it at Carroll if you drive through the campus currently. So there's some pretty, I would say, more affordable solutions likely that could be implemented sooner rather than, what's going on currently.
well, we put in the high visibility crosswalks. That's one of the things we did. We do have the crosswalk, the flashing signals. And Roger, remind me, are you replacing those with rapid flashing beacons?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're replacing and Roger told the story. When we put in those beacons for like a 3-month period, the FHWA, Federal Highway Association,
Administration.
in the W. But in any case, anyhow, they prohibited the rapid flashing beacons in the short period in which I purchased these. And so, but now you can use rapid flashing beacons again. So it was bad luck because I don't think they're nearly as effective.
Well, I guess my solution the problem that I see at the west leg or the south going leg of Webster Street would be to actually have the bump out on the west side also, and then squeeze that sidewalk further to the north just to improve the sight distance a little bit. But as a temporary measure with this, what we could, if DOT would allow us, we could put up like the temporary delineators along here, basically to this situation, and just see what happens before we actually go and build it.
Okay.
Because that would be, if we could put that up, and in a week's time, we're going to know if it's a problem or not. But you probably want to wait till, if it's going to be till after school's out, you probably want to wait till school's in session when you actually do have heavy left turns.
Okay.
Just one thing, Cam, to answer your question, DOT has a GIS map called Community Maps that kind of traffic safety. So I just pulled that up, and in the last 10 years, there's been 3 pedestrian bike accidents on that intersection.
In the last how many years? 10? Did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
What does the 40,000 go for? Is that directly? for
It's
the
just construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So that, it is an estimate, so
they pay
hopefully
for
it's
everything
less.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the non-participating items, so presumably the curb and the driveway.
And I would also say for, on the south side, the sidewalk crossing the bridge, if you could check that, and if it is steeper than ADA, which a lot of our sidewalk on, along Grand Avenue, unfortunately, is probably closer to 4% than the 1.5% it should be. It might be worth making that little stretch be, if the state won't pay for it, be a non-conforming item just to fix that right away.
Oh, okay.
Pay for it, you'll pay for it.
You're talking about the part that's on the bridge?
On the bridge, yeah. Well, you could do this whole stretch through here too, potentially, if there's problems with the cross slope.
Well,
Because we also have a driveway that they're moving out that is currently depressed, and that sidewalk would have to be replaced at that driveway on the south side too, and it doesn't show that. So there's, I think, significantly more sidewalk would have to be replaced with this than what they're showing on that south side.
yeah, but all the sidewalk down to Franklin Street is more than 2%.
Right.
Much more than 2%. Like in
Yeah.
front of Chocolate Chisel, it's like 7, 8, 9%. It's awful.
But I think in here, for what they have drawn, they're going to have to remove more of that existing sidewalk than what they've drawn in so far too.
Okay.
You know, at each crosswalk, you know, the west crosswalk from North Franklin on the south side, it'd probably be at least a panel on each side would have to go. And where the driveway is, across from North Webster on the south side, that whole area is currently depressed because it has, a driveway right at the back of curb. All that sidewalk would have to be replaced too, and they're not showing any of that.
Okay.
Just
All
a
right. Yeah, Alderman
just
Kearney.
question for Mike on that. Mike, would they be responsible for the cost of that? No. Or we would be responsible?
It depends if they're paying for doing this bump out and it's almost entirely they're paying for it. Other stuff that's impacted by it, generally they would replace out of pocket. If we go and look and say, well, now you're replacing 50% of the sidewalk there, and we want it all replaced, they might very well say, fine, but you're going to pay for the rest of it. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Roger or Rob? No? So there's no further discussion. Do we have a motion to approve the agreement with WISDOT to construct a bump out on West Grand Avenue at North Webster Street?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Gasper. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Cam. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on then to consideration and possible action on a construction contract change order with C.D. Smith on the water filtration plant improvement project.
All right. So essentially, this is good news, and we want to make sure everyone's aware of it. And to get, so we're looking at 296,000 roughly credit back to the city for change in foundation systems. What was designed and bid was a typical excavate and poured walls. This is like trade name would be GeoPure, so they'll drill holes and fill those holes with aggregate, and that'll support the building. So the proposal's been reviewed by our engineer for both structural and geotechnical concerns, and that the credit is appropriate amount. And they recommend that we accept it, and so that's essentially we're just bringing it to Public Works, and we recommend that we accept the
Have more of these.
Yep.
These are good change orders.
Yep.
They'll get it back later. Okay, any questions regarding the change order to change the foundation? Or comments? Yeah. Okay, if we don't have any discussion or questions, do we have a motion to approve the change order credit in the amount of $295,680 to incorporate an aggregate pier system for the foundation?
So move.
Motion by Cam. Do we have a second? Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, that was an easy one.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will like to make a comment that tells you how sensitized people are to cost right now.
Yeah.
I was at the soft opening of the wine bar over at Condos, and I mentioned to a very longtime resident of the city that we have our first change order on the water filtration plant. He said, "Oh my God, now what?" And the answer was, we're going to save close to $300,000. And his mouth just opened up and said, "Really?" So there's a, just so we all know, there's a high level of sensitivity with the numbers that have been being tossed around on different projects. So it's a really good sign, and it shows the integrity of C.D. Smith for sure.
You're here. All right. Number 5, presentation of the Consumer Confidence Report for the water utility. Dan?
First, I'd like to add to John's comment about what you just said about the cost. I just learned that the initial construction for the water treatment plant in 1947 cost $395,000 for the entire project. So kind of just shows what costs have changed over the years.
1847 or
1947. So this is just a discussion about our annual Consumer Confidence Report, also known as the Annual Water Quality Report. This report is mandated by the EPA and then regulated by the DNR. So we have till July 1st to submit this to the DNR, and then we also have to put this out to the public either via water bills or physically printing out copies and sending them to the public or posting them inside City Hall. We do multiple ways of getting this to the public, so we will put it in our July water bill. It's posted on the city website in the water utility page as the 2023 Consumer Confidence Report. So it's out there for everybody to get. Basically, most of this report, the information is generated by the DNR or the EPA. We just kind of fill in the blanks, and then I kind of make the template, how we want it to look. This is also an opportunity for us to kind of, explain and tote our accomplishments for the year. So on the back page, the end of the report, I've kind of created just a letter to the customer explaining some of our 2023 achievements. Obviously, we have the treatment plant improvement project. It's a, major milestone for us, so I want to talk about that. And then just, it's an opportunity, again, to tell the customers that Lake Michigan water is some of the best water available in the world, and our treatment process remains, top notch. We have no violations. We take thousands and thousands of tests throughout the year inside the water plant. We take hundreds and hundreds of tests in the distribution system, and continue to make quality water. Last year, we had to test for PFAS, so that's a new mandated regulation. I don't know if you guys can flip to that. So the two compounds that are basically the famous ones right now are the PFOS and PFOA. The EPA has established a new range for what you have to stay under, and that's 4 parts per trillion for those two compounds. Our highest reading for PFOA was 2.05, and then PFOS was 2. So we're well within the range and much lower than some of the other groundwater communities. This level is pretty consistent throughout the other lake communities that take off of Lake Michigan. So this is pretty much the number that's in Lake Michigan. We are under the action limit, so unless they change the limit from 4 parts per trillion to a lower amount, we probably won't be forced to do any kind of actionable treatment for the near future. So just wanted to point that out. We did test for lead and copper last year. We did 33 residents volunteered to take tests inside their home. All of those residents had a lead lateral going into their house. All were below the action level. And as you can see, the number of 4, which the action level is 15, so our highest measurement was 4. So our corrosion control treatment is still working. So that's a good thing. We're also starting to reduce the amount of homes that we can test because more of our public laterals that had been lead in the past are being replaced through our main replacement program. And then just homeowners are getting their laterals replaced throughout the years as well.
A quick question, Dan. There are some folks, that talk about fluoride. Is there a number that is very concerning about fluoride, or in different legacy systems that's dangerous or bad for you long-term, or how are we doing, or do we add a lot, or?
Fluoride's regulated pretty strictly, so we keep our fluoride at 0.7. We're very consistent with that. So fluoride's tested daily, and we pretty much keep that at that level.
And folks who are against it, are they against any amount, or is, what?
Pretty much against any amount. Port's been putting fluoride in the water since the plant started in 1949.
What would happen if we took it out?
Well, there's studies both ways. Some people say that the problem with some of the studies is there have been cases in communities that they've put too much in.
Over-fluorinated? Is that a word?
Fluorinated.
I don't know. Fluoridated.
So,
Right.
Fluorinated would be fluorine, which is much more deadly.
yes. So there's been accounts where the teeth have had discoloration, not so much making you sick, it just has stained teeth. But all studies since 1940s, even before that, have determined that the certain age group of infants to early toddlers need that fluoride in their body to give to make your teeth strong. So it's definitely worth it to keep in the system.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Dan? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to throw out on the PFAS, the part per trillion levels that we're have to meet, or picture an Olympic-sized swimming pool, fill it up with sand, level it off, paint 1 grain of sand orange, throw it in there. That's parts per billion. That's 1 parts per billion. So now do 10 of those. You're talking about parts per trillion. So, I mean, this is really small amounts they're asking water plants to get to, which inappropriately should if it creates health problems. But so it is testing and sampling is very, very rigid for compounds like that. So we're in a good spot to be where we are.
So generally speaking, are you getting more PFAS from drinking out of a water bottle or something like that, or than you would even from our water? I mean, where is it?
Well, with water bottles, most of them would go with reverse osmosis. Probably not. What you're the this on the water bottling, you'd be drinking a lot of microplastics with water bottles and nanoplastics. PFAS is well, there's so much of it. So probably what we're getting in Lake Michigan is from atmospheric things that have been discharged in the atmosphere that settle in the lake. Places like Marinette, a lot of firefighting foam, Teflon production places, areas like that. La Crosse has a big issue with PFAS. They're the ones struggling more.
Okay, makes sense. All right,
Saukville has more than we do too.
Yes, they do.
winning, all right. Any other questions on the consumer confidence report for the water utility? No? Yeah, Alderman Sigler.
Not directly related to this report, but the lead water service replacement project moving ahead as you projected, Dan?
The city water portion of that, identifying the services, is moving along very well. We're probably 3/4 of the way through, identifying main ages, specifically areas that we need to do a little bit more digging house by house. So we've narrowed the gap down pretty significantly. As far as the CDM Smith side, we actually just got the contract signed last week. So next week we'll be doing a kickoff meeting and starting to go to town on that.
Very good. All right, thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Moving right along then to the first quarter update on the DPW charter.
All right, so we're actually at 1 quarter and 1 month since we didn't meet in April. But I will quickly go through our goals for the year. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. There's quite a few, so I'll buzz through them. Crack filling, they intend on finishing this, I think, I believe next week sometime. Paving is typically like an August, September work. We've already completed cleaning our city sanitary sewers. That's partially with the help of Green Bay Pipe and TV. So we've met our goal there. We're on schedule for monthly street sweeping. Of course, we do a lot more in the fall and more downtown in the summer. At the end of the year is when we clean all the catch basins after the leaves are off the trees. Water filtration plant upgrades. We're currently in the shop drawing review stage. About 50% complete with replacing all our meters in the city with radio reads. They're ongoing with flushing of the hydrants and valve exercising. We just mentioned the service line material identification. Dan intends to paint another 150 fire hydrants in July and August, even though it says 3 months. So we'll squeeze 3 months worth of work into 2 months. Wastewater plant upgrades, those are ongoing. They've already started construction there. That's 5% complete. The generator over at the wastewater plant for lift station 3, he's getting quotes for engineering. He's getting quotes for replacing the variable frequency drive over at lift station 2. Inflow and infiltration. Dennis has completed installing his new dockside pump out system, which was paid in part with a grant. He should be done with installing the security cameras by the end of next week. We'll get out there and patch his potholes once the asphalt plant's open. Roger's working on designing some improvements to the abutments on Pierre Lane, the bridge underneath the deck. The deck is in good shape, but the abutments are delaminating underneath, and so Roger's working with Collins Engineers, right, on that design. We've not worked yet on updating some of our ordinances. The spring tree planting is completed. We plan another 150 trees in the fall. Pruning is always in progress when we have someone come in the summer who does that, and not sure he's back yet. He should be starting, I think, next week. 2024 street improvements are on schedule. Alley improvements are awarded forward, and I think we're still working on getting that executed, right? Yeah. And then the mud jacking's complete on the sidewalk improvement, and Roger's working on the next phase of that, which is going to be replacement, and possibly some horizontal saw cutting. Let's see, I'm gonna pick out some highlights here. Roger's been working on, we're trying to design in-house replacing the North Power Street that has a sewer crossing underneath Valley Creek that's exposed, so we're trying to actually relocate that onto Power Street. So he's working on that, along with, Ross has been collecting survey information out on Highway LL for 2 sidewalk projects, one over by Hidden Hills that's north of 33, and then one south of Sunset Road on LL, in front of Clean Test. Oop. Yeah, what did I say? Hidden Hills, Woods at White Pine. Yeah, thanks. And then the Grand Avenue sidewalk, we're looking, of course, as part of the downtown plan. That includes moving the curbs in, and so we're doing the survey work, so hopefully we can design some of those improvements in-house. Roger's been working on meeting our new TMDL, that's total maximum daily load requirements through the DNR. And we are, yes, working on updating some of our components of our PSC report that aren't jiving with our GIS right now, so that's a little project Roger's working on. We received a Clean Marina grant for $35,000, right? Is it 35 for design of a new parking lot essentially, and then specifically some work to install permeable pavers around the fish cleaning station, and some invasive controls and things like that. So that's all design work, but that's paid 100% through Wisconsin Coastal Management and the Wisconsin Clean Marina Program, which is kind of one and the same. And we are working on, Roger's getting bids right now for the Moore Road pedestrian bridge inspection, or the pedestrian bridge, so that's the bridge that leads over to the football field. So those need a little bit of attention, and so we're getting some quotes to do that work. Again, some of our ordinances, processes, and such that we're working on, strategic planning, those are not yet completed, not yet started either, sorry. The update on city bike ped plan, so that's updating our 1996 plan. We're still awaiting the DOT signature, so in 4 months, that'll now be 2 years since the DOT awarded the grant to us, and we still don't have a signed contract. But we will get there. Valley Creek Resiliency Planning, we have 2 grants now totaling almost $1.5 million, and so we're working on the RFPs to get out for engineering for that project. Miller's 90 percent complete with their bluff engineering and design, and so that should be coming back. We anticipate we'll be doing the first phase of that this summer yet, which is installing directional drains on the creek or on the bluff to dewater them. The lighthouse bidding, we're currently working on a grant for the lighthouse that we hope will be successful. So we'll see some items for that on the next council agenda next week. And then here's the item for the LL sidewalk at Clean Test that I mentioned earlier. The Highway 33 resurfacing is 60% complete. That is scheduled for just, actually, well, yeah, it's scheduled for 26 actually, right? Is it 26? So I think they moved it up a year. So that's, again, a DOT project. And some projects that we're doing in Parks and Forestry. A lot going on at Colbach Park over the last few years. So not only have they put in a new baseball diamond, and the park shelter is amazing what they've done with that. They'll be installing a park rain garden and a patio at the shelter. So a couple of more great improvements that we're all doing 90% of this in-house. They'll be renovating the concession stand at the ball field later or midsummer. And installing, again, new playground equipment at Whitefish, and with our street department, putting in a new basketball court at Windrush Park, that's in the Misty Ridge subdivision. So I guess that's it. But a lot going on. Any questions on any of that? Hopefully it was
Any questions,
informative and not too, without being boring.
Nope, very good. And does that include the project updates in that? Is there-
Let me,
Those are more the
you know,
strategic
they're
ones?
kind of in, yeah, I think everything, you know, there's more details in the project updates, things, particularly what we're working on right now. You know, honestly, the probably the biggest thing I'd point out is, you know, some of the work and all the work we do is important and good, but we're doing a lot of work over at the pool, getting that fixed up and ready for the summer. That's been a combination of our Parks and Forestry and Street Department personnel. So there's a drone photo of that. And then, again, really, I can't say enough about what our talented staff is doing over at Colbach Park. And if you look at that picture on page 71 of your packet, that shows the new wood paneling and the new stone veneer and the new garage door. We did have someone install the garage door, but you know, all of that work, vaulting the ceilings, all done, you know, in-house by our guys over winter. So it's you know, it's not just fixing a few picnic benches and sharpening the saws during winter. It's some pretty significant work. And then we did hire someone to coat the floor. You can see it's got a coating on it. So really some great things going on over there. And I know John's not finished, so really kind of transform that park.
Where is that park exactly, Rob?
Colbach, that's the one that's just south of Whitefish and north of Jefferson
Okay. So the north.
and east of Holden.
I think they run the summer rec program there.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, as far as a park that's close to the neighborhoods, I would say this park is probably our number one park in terms of, you know, residential surrounding.
Okay, I see it.
And then I did have, and this is going to be a dud since we don't have the cameras on, but I'll describe it anyway. The Ozaukee County Watershed Coalition is participating in the Paint on Port. So the last week of June, they're going to do another stencil down by the marina. So on Lake Street, of course, Lake Street has been recently repaved. The two catch basins that are furthest to the the south on Lake Street, so kind of across from the new Inventors, there's gonna be a new stencil on there. So they're deciding what that's going to look like. If you're really interested in, I'd be happy to show you the candidates. But another, you're probably all familiar with the one that's in the cul-de-sac on Main Street. So they're gonna do another one of those. So we're grateful to them. Doesn't cost us anything, and does wonders for us. So we're able to report that to the DNR and hopefully stay on their good side. Second thing is on the 18th, there is that is Migratory Bird Day, and they're selling some pollinator plants, and I can't even, maybe it's this thing that's screwing me up, but
Rob, are those the plant sale signs I see around the city?
it must be, yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. That's okay. But yeah, that's on the 18th, and for some reason it's not coming up. Let me try one more time just to tell you where. Make sure I've got the right one.
Well, he's doing that. 2 updates. We did receive a grant to reconstruct Holden Street, so that's probably 2026. So that's $400,000. And on the water plant, Dan is also working on with Energetics, who provides our SCADA system. We had an allowance for them. And are you thinking you're going to use only about half of that allowance? No. So that's 500,000 that we're talking, that'll come back on the water plant. So,
All right, the native plant sale is May 18th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Upper Lake Park. And this is, so there's a bird walk, creating backyard habitat. Native plant sale starts at 9, and a live raptor show at 10 a.m. and a craft table from 10:30 to 12:30. So anyhow, so there's some good things going on. I think that's being sponsored by our Lake Michigan Bird Observatory.
All right, very good. That in on project updates? And that's one, any other forthcoming events?
Last one, I guess, is kind of a forthcoming event, a little bit of a project update. So I'm not sure what the timing's going to be, but in June, I anticipate we're going to see American Transmission Company. American Transmission Company. They're the people who maintain the overhead power, the high voltage power lines in the city. They're going to be doing a lot of vegetation management, is what they call it, which means clear cutting everything for 90 feet around their, again, their high tension power line. So you will, if you look where their monopoles are, all the poles in the city of Port Washington, everything underneath that 45 feet on either side, they intend to clear. So we are working with them to try and preserve some things that we think they ought not clear, like the crab apples that are underneath the trees that they gave us permission to plant about 10 years ago. We're hoping to save those. So I'll be meeting with them later this month and walking through and trying to save as much as I can. But I think you will see a distinct change in the landscape anywhere around those lines.
Is that distance the same, or did it get
It's
bigger?
generally 45 feet on either side of the lines, but it's
I'd be ashamed to take those trees out after.
you're going to see, well, and then, even for, if you come in on Spring Street, you know, all the trees that are underneath the lines between the old modern equipment and Spring Street and Oakland, that's all that'll be gone. We'll lose all our arborvitaes.
You gonna take out my transit trees? Put on the transit building?
No, but I don't think so, but I think the highway department is losing some of their arborvitaes. It's Stackner Park, right? It's losing.
Stacker Park.
Stacker Park, thanks.
Yeah,
They're
and,
losing their arborvitaes, and I think all the trees like behind your houses are gonna be going,
Yep, they're taking my apple trees
yeah.
because they could potentially grow into those power lines.
And do, yeah, 100-foot tall apple tree.
With the semi-dwarfing rootstock, yeah. The arborvitae in Stacker Park, I haven't seen them, but I've been told there's a nest with owls in there. So I hope they're taking some accommodation to that.
I'll write that down. So, in Stacker Park, there's.
Yes, yep. I don't know what type of owl. I haven't seen them myself. I've been told.
So in any case, just to let you know, we're aware of it, but we have no control over it whatsoever. We can only try to appeal to them.
Didn't they send out a notice it seems like I've seen something about this before.
You know, I know Alderman Gasper got a notice,
I think we did too.
but I did get, like, you know, I've gotten I think just one phone call from someone wondering what the stake was in his yard, so either he didn't get a notice or he didn't put two and two together, I don't know.
Yeah, they bought an easement for me in my backyard a couple years back, and the new stakes, they missed the staking from the easement by about 1.5 feet.
In your favor?
Mostly laterally, so it should be at my lot line. So I don't know if my lot line is where they thought it was previously or not. Because previously it part of my neighbor's garage on my property, but
Okay. All right, now I'm done talking.
All right, that sounds like that's it for project updates. Any or forthcoming events? Anything else for the good of the group? John, how was the wine bar?
Wonderful.
Wonderful?
Very nice.
It's good? They open to the public in the next week or so?
Wednesday.
This next Wednesday? Okay. Very good. Everybody's been to Inventors?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah? It was good. Good experience. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
I moved it.
Second by Jim. All right. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.